Moneybagg Yo's wife is living a millionaire lifestyle most people cannot even explain. She reached into her own pocket and bought her husband nearly 29 acres of land in Memphis for his birthday. Paid in full, deed in her hand, zero loans, zero financing. And when it was her turn, Moneybagg surprised her with a custom $330,000 Rolls-Royce Cullinan and 5 Hermes Birkin bags. Two people trading gifts on a level most of us will never touch. But the real story was never about the gifts. The real story is that Ari Fletcher never needed his money to live the way she lives. She built her own empire, her own businesses, her own income, and what that lifestyle actually looks like behind closed doors is something we are about to break down. Stick around because Ari Fletcher is not who you think she is. Yo, what's good, fam? Today we are diving deep into the millionaire lifestyle of Ari Fletcher, Moneybagg Yo's wife, and one of the most financially independent women in hip-hop culture. We are breaking down how she built her wealth from scratch, the businesses behind her empire, the luxury she earned on her own terms, and the financial moves that set her apart from anyone in her lane. Before we get into that, let's talk about who Ari Fletcher really is, because a lot of people jumped in late and only caught the highlight reel. Ari was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, and from the start she had a presence that was hard to ignore. Around 2015, she started building her social media audience, posting lifestyle content, fashion, and beauty that resonated with millions of young women who saw themselves in her energy. She was bold, unapologetic, and visually magnetic in a way that translated directly into followers. But what separated Ari from thousands of influencers trying to blow up at the same time was that she never treated her platform like a popularity contest. She saw it as infrastructure. She saw those followers as future customers. Even early on, she understood that attention itself is a currency, and she was quietly collecting as much of it as she could. By the time the public caught on, she already had a loyal base and a plan to monetize it in ways that went far beyond a sponsored post. Her rise through influencer culture handed her a crash course in the business side of branding, the kind most people learn through formal education. She was learning it in real time, through execution, through trial and error, through watching what moved her audience and what did not. She has openly said that working with major brands on endorsement deals taught her the fundamentals of running a business. She paid attention. She asked questions. She absorbed everything those partnerships offered and turned around and used it to build companies of her own. That shift from personality to entrepreneur is the foundation everything after was built on. Now, before we get into the business empire, let's talk about the relationship that has kept her name trending and kept the blogs running. Ari and Moneybagg Yo went public with their relationship in January of 2020. And from the moment they stepped out together, the internet had opinions. The chemistry between them was obvious to anyone watching. They traveled together, celebrated each other publicly, and made a habit of going all out on birthdays and special occasions in ways that had people screaming in the comments every time. This was not a quiet relationship. This was a couple that lived fully in public view and genuinely seemed to enjoy the noise that came with it. Their love story has played out across Instagram posts, Twitter exchanges, and media moments that kept both names circulating consistently, and it has never been one-sided. Both of them have consistently shown up for each other in ways that go beyond just posting pictures. The couple confirmed their engagement and have locked in May 2027 for what promises to be one of the most talked about weddings in recent hip-hop history. But through everything, one moment stood above the rest in terms of how the public began to see Ari Fletcher as more than just a famous man's partner. September 22nd, 2021, Moneybagg Yo's 30th birthday. The man had already been on Instagram that morning, flexing a fleet of luxury cars, living proof of everything he built, coming from South Memphis with nothing. His label partners, Yoadi and Marcus Howell, pulled up with $1.5 million in cash and a new Rolex. The day was already legendary by any standard. Then Ari stepped forward with something nobody saw coming. She had purchased 28.8 acres of land in Moneybagg Yo's hometown of Memphis, Tennessee. Not jewelry, not a car, not a watch, land. She handed him the fully paid deed with no loans attached, no financing, just clean ownership of nearly 29 acres of real estate in the city that made him who he is. On her Instagram, she wrote words that instantly went viral, calling it the gift that keeps on giving, a lifetime of income, literal generational wealth, 28.8 acres, and the deed was his. Let that sit for a second. Because what she was communicating was not just love, it was financial philosophy. She was saying she thought about this gift differently than most people think about gifts. She was thinking about long-term value, about asset appreciation, about the kind of wealth that does not depreciate the moment you drive it off the lot. That is a different level of thinking than most people operate on, and the internet recognized it immediately. The scale of that property made the moment even more significant once people started doing the math. Nearly 29 acres translates to roughly 27 football fields worth of land. That is not a plot. That is a portfolio. Real estate in Tennessee has been appreciating steadily, and owning that kind of undeveloped acreage in a growth market means the value could multiply significantly over time. Fans and financial commentators alike praised the move as one of the most thoughtful celebrity birthday gifts in recent memory, not because it was the most expensive thing anyone had given, but because it reflected a mind that understood the difference between spending and investing. Critics had something to say too, as they always do. One co-host on a daytime talk show suggested Ari was overstepping by making such an expensive gesture for someone she was not yet married to. Ari fired back publicly and did not hold back, telling critics to focus on getting their own land. Moneybagg doubled down and told the world to mind their business. The couple stayed aligned and unbothered, and that response only fueled the story further. Then it was Ari's turn to receive. For her 26th birthday in July of 2021, Moneybagg Yo unveiled a custom matte black Rolls-Royce Cullinan with pink grille detailing estimated to be worth around $330,000. Inside the car sat 5 Hermes Birkin bags. He did not hand over one luxury item. He delivered a statement. Ari responded to Instagram and told her followers that he goes crazy every single time, that he always goes above and beyond, and called him the greatest of all time. The exchange between these two was never about one partner outgiving the other. It was about two people who were both financially capable of making extraordinary gestures and chose to do exactly that anyway. That dynamic is genuinely rare, and it says something very important about where both of them truly stand in terms of individual financial positioning. Now here is where we have to address something directly, because the assumption keeps circulating no matter how many times the facts prove otherwise. A significant number of people still stubbornly believe that Ari Fletcher's lifestyle is funded entirely by Moneybagg Yo, that her wealth is merely a reflection of his, that her luxury is borrowed. That assumption is flat out completely wrong. Because there is a certain type of woman in these high-profile relationships who drains her partner dry, who lives entirely off his money, who has no income, no businesses, and no plan beyond whatever he hands her. Ari is not that woman and has never been that woman. She has made it consistently clear that she keeps separate finances, runs her own businesses, and has built an independent income that requires nobody else's support. She has spoken openly and repeatedly about financial independence, about protecting her assets, and about making absolutely sure that everything she accumulates stays hers alone. That is not just a talking point either. Her business portfolio backs it up completely. The foundation of Ari's entrepreneurial story began with KY Extensions, the hair extension company she co-founded with her cousin Brittany back in 2016. She was only 21 years old at the time. The beauty industry was one she knew intimately, having presented herself on social media since her teenage years, and she understood exactly what her audience wanted in terms of quality and style. KY Extensions converted her digital following into paying customers through direct-to-consumer e-commerce, and the brand gained traction fast. It was proof of concept, proof that her audience trusted her taste enough to actually spend money on what she recommended. More importantly, it proved she understood how to own something rather than simply promote something. KY Extensions became one of the foundations of her growing wealth and set the tone for everything she would build after. In August of 2022, Ari launched Remedy by Ari, the flagship beauty brand that has since become the centerpiece of her entire business empire. Remedy offers a full line of vegan, cruelty-free beauty products, including lip glosses, makeup, and wellness items priced to stay accessible without sacrificing quality. She launched it with a clear target already in mind. She has publicly stated her goal is to build Remedy into a billion-dollar brand and push it into major brick-and-mortar retail alongside the biggest names in beauty. and the way she is chasing that goal is smarter than most people realize. Her years working with major corporate brands on endorsement deals gave her direct access to their marketing analytics, their consumer data, and their scaling formulas. She paid close attention to all of it and has been using that knowledge to build and fund her own company the right way. Remedy by Ari is not a vanity project with her face slapped on it. It is a real company with real infrastructure and a real long-term strategy driving it. Running alongside Remedy is Remedy Swim, the swimwear extension of the brand she also launched in 2022. The line offers bikinis, one-pieces, and cover-ups promoted directly through her social media channels, with entry price points starting around $18 and scaling up from there. The swimwear venture diversifies her revenue stream and hands her an additional category to own in a market where her name and aesthetic already carry serious commercial weight. It is the same exact playbook she used with hair extensions, now applied to a fresh product category where she spotted demand. Then there is Dinner with the Dawn, the cooking series that introduced a completely different side of Ari's personality to her audience. What began as YouTube content evolved into a branded platform that has since expanded into seasonings and food-related commercial ventures. It is a content-to-commerce model that plenty of creators talk about, but very few actually execute successfully. And Ari has managed to pull it off because her audience follows her authenticity into every single category she enters. The cooking. The series also humanizes her in a way luxury content alone simply cannot, giving fans access to a side of her that feels personal and relatable while still being commercially monetized. Beyond her own businesses, her income streams stretched into some of the most lucrative endorsement partnerships available to influencers in her category. She has worked with brands including Fashion Nova, Savage X Fenty, BT Plus, and Uber Eats, among others. These are not small deals by any stretch of the imagination. At the peak of her monetization strategy, reports indicated she was pulling in approximately $150,000 per month from Instagram brand partnerships alone. That number reflects exactly what a highly engaged audience of more than 6 million followers is worth to brands trying to reach that demographic. And critically, those earnings gave her the financial flexibility to pour money straight back into her own companies instead of treating sponsorship income as her ceiling. She used the brand deals as a bridge toward real ownership, never as a final destination. The lifestyle all of this has produced is exactly what you would expect from someone operating at that level. Her wardrobe is built entirely on designer labels. Her Hermes Birkin collection has grown to include multiple bags at price points most people will never experience firsthand. She drives luxury vehicles, lives in premium homes, and travels at a standard that reflects precisely how much she has earned. She has gone viral more than once for casually discussing the realities of her income bracket, like openly breaking down what she spends annually on housekeepers and home upkeep alone, numbers that made people stop scrolling and do a double take. But what consistently stands out watching how Ari actually talks about money is that luxury is never the goal. Luxury is simply the byproduct. The real goal, as she has articulated it in interviews and across social media, is to build wealth that actually lasts. The kind that gets passed down. The kind that generates income while she sleeps. That mindset is exactly what separates her from the tired old stereotype of the influencer who spends everything on appearances and has nothing structurally to show for it. There is a version of Ari Fletcher's story the internet loves telling, the one that starts with the Rolls-Royce and ends with the Birkins and never asks any deeper questions. But the fuller version of that story demands you zoom out and look at the years of consistent work that came before all of those flashy moments. The audience she built did not appear overnight. The brand deals she landed did not come from a lucky break. The businesses she launched did not succeed off someone else's resources. Every single layer of her financial life was constructed by her own hand, with her own strategy, through her own execution. The luxury moments are the most visible part of that story, but they are far from the most important part. Her real estate philosophy is a direct expression of that exact mindset. The land she purchased for Moneybagg Yo was never a random romantic gesture. It was a calculated decision rooted in her understanding of what appreciating assets look like versus depreciating ones. She chose land because land does not go to zero. Land in a growing market tends to climb. Land can generate rental income, can be developed, can be subdivided, can be leveraged. She understood all of that, which is exactly why she described it as a lifetime of income, rather than just another birthday gift. That same philosophy shapes how she thinks about her own assets, her own holdings, and her own financial future. She has also stayed fully transparent about maintaining entirely separate financial structures from her relationship. Her banking, her business ownership, her investments, all of it exists completely independently of whatever Moneybagg Yo has or does. She has spoken about providing for her son, Yoson, whose father is Chicago rapper G Herbo, and about making certain that no matter what happens in her personal life, her financial foundation remains something she built and controls herself. That kind of intentional financial separation is something financial advisors preach for years and years before most people actually put it into practice. Ari has been doing it consistently and deliberately throughout her entire career rise. What makes Ari Fletcher genuinely influential beyond the surface level is exactly what her critics tend to overlook. They see the designer bags, the Rolls-Royce, the birthday flexes, and they reduce her down to only those things. But the people paying much closer attention see a woman who spotted a real opportunity in social media when it was still relatively early. She built an audience through consistency and authenticity. She converted that audience into real buying customers, launched multiple businesses across different categories, partnered with major brands at rates reflecting serious commercial value, and used the income from all of it to invest in assets that compound over time. That is not influencer behavior at all. That is entrepreneur behavior wearing an influencer platform. Something else worth addressing is exactly how Ari has navigated motherhood. Alongside everything else, she has a son named Yosan, born in 2018, and she has been vocal about the fact that providing for him independently has always been non-negotiable. She never once talks about her son as a reason to depend on a partner. She talks about him as a reason to build harder, secure more, and make sure that whatever she accumulates creates a foundation he can inherit. That mentality is part of why the land gift to Moneybagg hit so deeply with people who understood the symbolism. Here is a woman who thinks in terms of generational wealth for her own child, gifting her partner something that reflects that exact same thinking. The alignment of values between them shows clearly in how they spend, what they prioritize, and how they talk about money publicly. It is also worth noting how she has handled criticism throughout her rise, because the internet has genuinely never gone easy on her. She has been dismissed as a clout chaser, reduced to her relationships, and had her business achievements written off as exaggerated. And every single time, her response stays the same. She puts up numbers, launches another product, closes another deal, and keeps moving forward. That kind of resilience in the face of constant, relentless public skepticism is part of what makes her story compelling to so many people. She does not shrink under doubt. She expands. Her public image has shifted in a way that mirrors her actual trajectory. When she first became widely known, the conversation centered mostly on her relationships and her appearance. As her business ventures grew and her financial decisions started making headlines, the narrative began shifting. Media appearances, podcast interviews, and her own content across YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok have all given the public deeper access to her business perspective. The reality television appearances she has made added even more dimensions to how people see her. And each time she steps into a new arena, whether cooking, beauty, swimwear, or real estate investment, the perception of her capabilities expands a little further. There is also something important worth recognizing about the timing of everything she built. She was never once handed a platform by a label or a marketing team with unlimited resources. She grew her audience one post at a time in a saturated space where millions were competing for the exact same attention. She turned that attention into a hair extension business before most people even knew her name outside of Chicago. Then she scaled into beauty, swimwear, cooking, and content, all while managing a high-profile relationship that brought both increased visibility and increased scrutiny. You either spot real opportunities and move on them, or you simply do not. Ari has always been someone who moves fast, and the brands she has aligned herself with are not accidental choices either. Fashion Nova, Savage X Fenty, BET+, Uber Eats. These are companies with massive consumer bases and marketing budgets, and they chose Ari because her audience converts. In the world of influencer marketing, conversion is truly everything. Millions of followers mean nothing if those followers do not take action when you speak. Ari's audience takes action, and that is exactly why her brand deals have stayed consistent and lucrative, even as the influencer market has grown increasingly crowded. When you line the whole story up chronologically, everything becomes clearer. She starts building her following around 2015 out of Chicago. By 2016, she has co-founded KY Extensions and is already turning followers into paying customers. Over the next several years, she builds her endorsement business to the point where a documented six-figure monthly income from Instagram alone becomes normal. She goes public with Moneybagg Yo in 2020. In July of 2021, Moneybagg presents her with the $330,000 custom Rolls-Royce Cullinan and 5 Birkin bags. 2 months later, she hands over the deed to 28.8 acres of Memphis land, fully paid. In 2022, she launches Remedy by Ari and Remedy Swim. The engagement follows. May 2027 is the date locked in for the wedding, and through every chapter, her independent wealth has continued growing alongside her relationship. What Ari Fletcher represents is bigger than any individual purchase or any single headline. Behind the custom Rolls-Royce, the 28.8 acres, and the Birkin bags in those viral birthday moments, sits a carefully built financial picture that took years to construct. It rests on product companies she owns, brand partnerships she earned, a social media audience she cultivated from nothing, and a deep philosophical commitment to putting money into things that grow rather than things that disappear. The luxury is real, the assets are real, the businesses are real, and none of it requires anyone's signature on the check. At the end of the day, Ari Fletcher's story challenges a narrative that people in and around hip-hop culture repeat constantly. The idea that women in these relationships are merely passengers, that they are beneficiaries rather than builders. Ari has spent years dismantling that assumption. One business launch, one brand deal, and one real estate transaction at a time. The greatest gift she has given the culture is not the 28.8 acres she handed to Moneybagg Yo. The greatest gift may actually be the example she has set for what it looks like to be financially autonomous, to build wealth independently, and to love someone fully without needing their resources to sustain your own life. That combination of entrepreneurship, independent wealth, luxury living, and long-term investment thinking is exactly what has made Ari Fletcher one of the most talked about businesswomen connected to hip-hop culture today. So now it's your turn. What do you honestly think about everything Ari Fletcher has built? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Tell us straight up if you think she deserves more credit than she's getting for these business moves. And if this breakdown hits for you, the real financial stories behind hip-hop's biggest names, then hit subscribe and stay locked in, because the next one might just change how you see the whole game.